Welcome back to story time. All right, today's story is called Shoeless Camping. And it all revolves around a lovely pair of hiking boots. That's right. So, imagine this. Back in the day, I was a Boy Scout. Yes, I got my Eagle Scout. I cannot say I was always the smartest scout. As you've probably learned from some of my stories, I was not always the brightest little kid. But I loved going camping. It was great. And being from Utah, we did a lot of snow camping, which, as you can understand, it gets pretty cold because there's a lot of snow. And this particular story, we will talk about what happened during that scouting event. We had decided that we were going to go camping in the snow because that was one of the requirements for some of the merit badges and for some of the fun. And we were debating about, because we used to get a lot of snow, deep snow, like feet and feet of snow. We were debating on whether or not we were going to take tents, just dig big holes in the snow, what we were going to do, and camp out in there. I decided, I'm sticking with a tent because I didn't really feel like sleeping in snow. That just sounded weird to me. So, to start off with, all right, had to change it up a bit for the story. So, we decided to go winter camping. We all pack into a couple of trucks, put all of our snow gear in. Now, as a side comment, if you ever want to see a group of boys looking kind of like idiots, go watch a bunch of kids that are trying to get ready for scout camp. The leaders every time would just stand there shaking their heads. You'd have some young men who were extremely prepared. They'd have all their sleeping bag and their tent and their warm clothes and their snacks and all their utensils, things like that for cooking and camping, and they were ready. They had their merit badge requirements and everything. And then you have the kids that would show up looking like they had just rolled out of bed, that looked like they knew nothing about it, and they had maybe a pillow, a sleeping bag, and a bag of candy. Like, some of these kids, you swear have no idea what camping is. And every time the leaders just shake their heads. So, we're trying to get everything in the trucks. Works out. Some of us realize, hey, some of these people aren't the best prepared, but whatever. We drive up. It's a little bit of a drive. We get there. Now, how this looks is it is one big pavilion because it's a camping ground. Now, this camping ground has a pavilion. It's got the pavilion and then the concrete slab. It's a fairly good-sized pavilion. It would be enough room for all of us to camp underneath it if we wanted to. But if you've ever gone snow camping, you know the entire point is to camp out in the snow, right? The entire point of this is that you want to set up your tent out in the snow, or if you are truly adventurous and you're going to be one of those people who wants to test it out and see how well you can weather the odds, you are going to dig a big deep hole in the snow, throw a tarp over it, and sleep in the snow. Now, snow is supposed to be a really good insulator, and it is, but as a young man, I did not want to test that theory out because I don't want to wake up really cold. So, we pitched our tents out in the snow. Some of them dug holes. Now, if you're wondering what this has to do with shoes, hold on. Now, we get everything set up. We get our fire pit. We have all the kitchen stuff set up. And we decide that we are going to get ready for bed. Now, anyone who's ever gone camping, or knows how to camp, I should say, knows that there's one lovely trick of how to keep all of your stuff warm at night. If you're snow camping especially, or camping out in the wintertime, heat does not just magically stay with your items. So, and I did not think about this, what you end up doing is all of the stuff that you don't care about being cold, you leave by your sleeping bag or in your tent or even outside if you're crazy enough. Anything that you want to keep warm, such as your clothing or your shoes, key hint, you put at the bottom of your sleeping bag with your feet. This way, all the body heat that you're producing stays in the sleeping bag and not only keeps you warm, it also keeps your stuff warm. Now, As I told you, I am not the brightest of youth. I think I already knew this was the thing, but even if you're not dumb, my memory was not always the best, as you can ask my mother. Now, not thinking about it, I went to sleep and left my shoes, or my boots, next to my sleeping bag. No, they did not go outside. That would have been even worse. So I wake up the next morning, I have my pants, my shirt, socks, underwear, whatever, in the bottom of my sleeping bag. So I get dressed. I put on my socks. And I look over, and there are my boots. And I go to reach for one. And I can already feel this thing is freezing cold. And there is no way I'm putting my foot in there because my feet are already cold. And in my mind, it's, why would you put a cold foot into a freezing cold shoe if you're trying to heat up? No. But I thought, hey, what better way than heating up my cold feet? I'm going to go see if the campfire is going. Yeah, for those of you that are already thinking about this, I have my socks on. I get out of my tent and I think, wait a second, there's a ton of snow and there's a pavilion. So, I decided in my brilliant brain, I'm going to hop across the snow and then sit on a bench at the pavilion and wait for them to light a fire because I looked out and there's no fire yet. And I thought, I'll just wait like 20 minutes for them to start a fire. Why not? Perfect. Yeah, this is going to work out. So I get out of my tent and I'm already... and I start to hop, 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 all the way over to the pavilion where there's now concrete. And I can kind of walk, but I'm still hopping because it's freezing cold concrete. And I sit on a bench. And I put my feet up with me as I'm... because it's still like 7 o'clock in the morning and I'm a very cold scout. But I start to kind of, warm up my body. I've even got my jacket on. Sorry, my coat on. And I'm kind of warming up a little bit, but I'm still cold. And out of the tent walks my scoutmaster. Now, my scoutmaster, very sweet guy, very nice guy, also very witty, and loves to mess with us. If he sees an opportunity to maybe make fun of us a little bit in a nice way, he'll do it. He walks out of his tent, takes a look around, and says some things like, okay, guys, we got to get a fire going, and we got to get this set up. And as his eyes are passing everything, it's, fire, get this stuff going for breakfast, and his eyes hit on me, and he sees me cold, and as he's about to ask how I'm doing, because you can see it in his eyes, he looks down a little bit and sees my feet. And this is the next thing I hear. So it goes, campfire, let's get breakfast going. And what happened to your shoes? And I looked at him and said, they're cold. My shoes are really cold. And he goes, so? I said, so I'm waiting for them to warm up. And he goes, you're waiting for what? You're waiting for your shoes to warm up. I said, well, yeah, they're too cold, and my feet are cold, and I don't want to put cold feet into cold shoes. Now, this is the point, if you've ever seen an adult do a hard eye roll, it's exactly what I saw him doing. It was I could almost read his thoughts of, oh, this kid is brain dead. And I was really confused for a moment. He goes, go put your shoes on. And I said, but my feet are cold. And he goes, go put your shoes on, now, please. And I said, but my shoes are cold. Because in my mind, I don't want to put my cold feet into freezing cold shoes. I mean, it makes sense, right? And after a gigantic, he looks at me and goes, go put your shoes on now. How else are your shoes going to heat up? And I said, I was waiting for the campfire to start. And he goes, are you going to put them in the fire? I said, no, that would be stupid. And he goes, oh. And I can just think of him saying, really, that's stupid, but not you going shoeless in a winter camp? So, He finally tells me, you have to go do it now. Like, he is commanding me now. I'm like, oh, fine. So I get up, and as I get up, I'm still cold, and my feet have only gotten colder, so now I'm even worse, hopping across the pavement, the concrete, and I get to the snow edge, and I can hear laughter. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, okay, one of the scouts is laughing at me. And then it registers. This laugh is deep. It's not a little kid laugh like, ha ha, it's a ha 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 ha. And I went, and I turned, and my scoutmaster is laughing at me like belly laughs. And the other scoutmaster had come up, and he is now laughing and asking, what is he doing? And my scoutmaster has to stop laughing in order to explain to him what's going on. And when he explains what's going on, he starts laughing even harder. And I'm still trying to hop across, go through the snow, and now the problem is that my feet are now going into the snow, so now I've got snowy socks. I finally brush off the socks, I get in my tent, and I put on these freezing cold boots. And I walked out in them. Now, if you think that's the end, I had to endure all the rest of that day. Because now the scoutmasters decide to tell all the other scouts what I just did and how dumb that was. So now I've got the scoutmasters making fun of me as well as the other boys making fun of me. Now, before you think that this is them being rude, it's not. It's just good-natured humor. And I deserved it. I knew I completely deserved it. So I could just sit there and go, well, I got him in the end. So every time somebody said, hey, why aren't you wearing shoes? I said, well, I have them on now. And they went, why didn't you have them on before? And my only answer was, because my feet were cold. So for the rest of the time and the rest of the year, every time he would see me, or every time we'd go on a scout camp, or anything like that, it was always the, hey, are your feet cold? And because I knew I deserved that, because, duh, I should have been wearing boots. So, people who want to go camping, put your shoes in the bottom of your sleeping bag. And even if you don't, your feet aren't going to get any warmer unless you have covering on them. So, that is the lovely no shoes camping. So, professional tip. Always wear shoes, especially when camping. Otherwise, you may get mocked just slightly, like I did. I fully deserved it, but you gotta live and learn, right? And it makes funny stories to share. So, yeah. If any of you guys have any funny camping stories, feel free to share them. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for joining Storytime!